Well, back day bassing once again. This time on the good old plastic. Um, Not every single cast, but pretty regular. Mid to small bass. Nothing ginormous. We're using a single tail, twisty tail with about a medium size to small jig head. Nothing fancy. Using white on a cloudy day, which can be good for halibut, and it's really good for bass. So let's see how it goes. Already caught about 6 or 7. Like I said, it's not every cast, but it's it's pretty consistent. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy, and no, I'm not rubbing a bank. It's cold out here, and you want to always protect your face, in your breathing, because sometimes you're sucking in that cold air. And look at that, here we go. So like I said, it's not every cast, but that was 2 for 2 right there. 2 for 2 on the little twisty. The last time I posted a little, and I'm on the kayak. That's why I look like I'm at a little bit of a distance. But just kind of out here killing a couple hours of fishing, and it's one of those things that sometimes cloudy, overcast days can be really productive. The fish have to try a little harder for food, and but then again, sometimes they're a little more bold because the water's not super clear and the sun's not out. So it's one of those things where I guess it's like a person. When it's kind of stormy, you just want to stay home and eat. You know what I mean? Binge eat. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe these bass are binge eating bass. So the white today seems like it's been working really well. To be honest with you, it's the only color I've been using so far, and I love, because sometimes you just want to go with what works. And so sometimes, like I said, white colors or bright colors on a cloudy day can be very productive, and lots of bites. But I put a pretty good size tail. It's about a 3-inch tail, but it's kind of a wide tail. So I did that on purpose because I want to give them something to find. I mean, it's so so overcast that you really don't even need sunglasses, because they kind of defeat the purpose and make it hard to see. But like I said, it's a fun way to fish. It's easy. Look at that, easy way to fish. And like I said, it's not every single cast, but at least they're biting and you're catching fish, And so what's funny about this scenario right here is this bass is almost the same length as the lure I am using. Look at that. Talk about binge eating. I mean, they sometimes will go after something bigger than themselves. See that? So I think that's kind of cool. And what's nice is the size I'm using. I think it's about a 3/4 ounce, but it's a fairly smaller than normal hook for bass fishing. But I once again, I did that on purpose because there's another one. I did that on purpose because I want to be able to catch all the fish, big ones and small ones. There's a little bit bigger one. I mean, he's not huge, but it's every cast. So if you like catching fish and you enjoy being out on the water, this is just a simple way of fishing and catching. As a matter of fact, I guess we could call it fishing. But like I said, when I'm fishing, fishing. Look at that. It's every cast now. And that is what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. One of the things I failed to mention is that I don't really use fish attractant at all, and I don't use scented lures at all. Every blue moon I may use a gulp, which is like a scented bait, and but these aren't scented. These are just plastic. I mean, there's no flavor to them whatsoever. But a lot of times what it is the presentation. You want to make sure you're presenting your bait correctly, The other thing is that you definitely want to see the way I fish these is I usually go about 4 to 5 turns. Well, first thing I do is I let it sink to the bottom, but then I do about 4 or 5 turns, and then I stop. The reason I stop is your bait's going like this. It's kind of like going down, you know. So it comes up, and then it goes down. And a lot of times when it goes down is when the bass tend to hit it, you know. So it's kind of cool, you know. The other thing is with this type of lure, more than likely the fish you're going to be catching are either going to be bass or halibut. So you kind of minimize your fishing range. I mean, it's not like the mega bait where you're catching everything. However, you are going to predominantly catch bass and halibut, and you know, and the occasional corvina in the back bay as well. So once again, this is a simple way of fishing. There's another one, and you just keep going. Like I said, you just keep fishing, you know, and you keep catching. And what's nice right now is when I first got out here, it was a little windy, but it seems like it's kind of calming down just a smidge. It wasn't as nice as the last time I videoed. That was nice. That was like a clear, glassy, sunny day, and it was really nice. However, here we are on a cloudy day, kind of, you know, not windy, but it is breezy. Water's a little more murkier than I would like. Sun's not out. Cloud cover, you know, so it's a different type of fishing. But the bass are biting. See, I had one and I farmed. They call that the good old farm. Farm is when you're reeling a fish in and it falls off. They call that farming a fish. Where that ever came from, I have no idea. But I think it's funny. You know, how do you farm a fish? But like I said, it's every cast. Back bay, you know, just drifting around. No, nothing in particular. Not really channel fishing. Just actually out in the middle of nowhere, you know, just drifting, you know, and trying to find those hungry bass who are there, you know. They're there. They're just. And another thing I'm doing is I'm kind of adjusting my reel speed. That's important because sometimes, you know, you're reeling too fast and you're not getting bites. Other times you're reeling too slow, you're not getting bites. So you kind of have to think like a fish. And so you got to think, you know, one, they're probably a little slower than normal because it is a cloud cold day. Two, they're, like I said, they're more than likely on the bottom. You know, and so the presentation, it definitely does matter. But if you can get it in front of the fish's face, more than likely they'll bite it. And so that cast, I did get two different bites. However, no hook. And the reason being is, like I said, I put a fairly large bait on. You know, large for not large, but it's a medium to large, I would say. So it does, you know, they really gotta suck that thing down. And there's another one. Oh my goodness, there was another one, and once again another farm. But one thing, the more experience you get in fishing, you can almost guesstimate the type of fish that are biting, because if it was a large bass would engulf this bait. Look at that. It gave me a little twist up, you know. That lets you know you didn't snag grass. But it takes a fairly good sized bass to suck this size bait down. I mean, this bait is, you know, it's fairly good size. You know, I'm bouncing around a little bit, but I was trying to measure it, give you something you can measure it next to. There's my hand. See, it's fairly good size. You know, it's not the biggest. I mean, I've seen some big swim baits, but I would say it's a medium to large swim bait. And so you want to, you know, I mean, you got to set the hook as quickly as you can, because, you know, the bass are, you know, once they hit, you don't hook them, they're usually gone. However, they have been known to come back for it, and that's kind of cool when you miss them and then you keep reeling and then they come back and they hit it again. That is fun. There he is. I think we might got the right one here. I think we might have halibut. I think we might have halibut. And so if I do, that's going to be really cool because I just got done telling you. Now, if you were here in the kayak with me, you would notice that the fish is pulling me. It's pulling the kayak. Now that's pretty cool. That the fish is pulling the kayak. Now this is a fairly good sized fish, and which is why once again I decided to use a little bit of a bigger bait. Oh, he's taking drag. Yeah, this is a good sized halibut. And I'm just gonna guess. And now if you can hear that, that was my drag. He is taking drag. And I actually have my drag all the way buckled down. I'm putting some pressure on this fish, and he's fighting pretty good. And so I'm going to be able to show you how simple catching a nice halibut could be. Now, the cool thing about this is the same lure I was catching those little bass on. And I'm gonna have to get my foot out of the water because the one thing you'll learn about halibut the more you learn to fish is halibut do have teeth. Oh yeah, it's a nice halibut. He just flashed and he's going for the bottom again. So let's see how we're gonna do this. Now, I usually don't bring a gaff. Oh yeah, it's a very decent sized halibut. The way I do it is I hook them in the gill. I'm gonna try to show you how to do that. Yeah, you gotta be careful because halibut do have teeth, and I definitely don't want to get bit if my rod is like bent over right now. So that's kind of cool. So I'm just gonna tire him out as best as I can. And I would say this: when you run into scenarios like this, you definitely want to keep your cool because you have all the time, you know. Oh, now, okay, I had a fat halibut who had this bass in his mouth. That was interesting. That was a good sized halibut. So what happened was the halibut actually went after this bass. So it was a missed. Look at this. This fish is snagged in the brain. So what happened was the halibut actually went after this bass. This bass was in the halibut's mouth. Look at that bass. That is a chewed up bass. See, bass aren't supposed to, their fins aren't supposed to look like that. That's what happens when a bass gets eaten by a halibut. Now, I guess to some degree, I saved this bass's life. Look at the fin on this bass. Look at this. His fin is broke. He has teeth mark. But he's pretty resilient. He's pretty durable. The bass is still alive. And I missed that halibut, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But this bass won today, so he's a winner in my book.